On a cold, stormy evening in Berlin, 1936, Dr. Emil Reinhardt sat in his modest apartment, sifting through notes on a promising new polymer he'd been developing. A knock at the door shattered his focus. Standing in the dimly lit hallway was a man in a black trench coat and fedora, his face barely visible under the shadows. Without a word, he handed Emil a sealed envelope and left as quickly as he had come. The letter was stamped with the IG Farben insignia, urgent and confidential. Emil, a rising star in synthetic chemistry, had expected recognition for his recent work, but the terse summons unnerved him. The next morning, he arrived at IG Farben's imposing headquarters, its gray facade looming like a fortress. He was led to a secluded conference room where 5 stern-faced executives awaited him. Their expressions betrayed no emotion, only the cold efficiency of men accustomed to power. One of them slid a thick folder across the table. Emil opened it to find schematics and formulas for a chemical compound labeled Zyklon B. His brow furrowed as the men explained the project. Officially, it was to be used for pest control, a chemical to protect grain supplies and aid the war effort. Their tone was clinical, devoid of any trace of humanity. Something about the way they spoke, detached, almost rehearsed, gnawed at Emil's instincts. For weeks, Emil worked on perfecting the compound under strict surveillance. Guards monitored the labs, their presence a constant reminder of the stakes. The further he delved into the project, the more questions plagued him. Why such secrecy? Why the sudden urgency? When he broached these concerns with his superiors, he was met with vague assurances and icy stares. Late one night, unable to quell his unease, Emil decided to investigate. Under the cover of darkness, he accessed a restricted section of the company archives. What he found made his blood run cold. Documents revealed the true purpose of Zyklon B. It was not meant for pest control. It was a weapon designed for the mass extermination of human beings. Entire populations deemed undesirable by the Nazi regime were to be eradicated with the very compound Emil was refining. Emil's world crumbled. He stumbled back to his quarters, the weight of the revelation suffocating him. Every equation he had solved, every test he had run, was now a link in a chain of death. He spent days in torment, grappling with an impossible choice. If he sabotaged the project, he would surely be discovered and executed. But if he continued, he would become complicit in atrocities that would stain his soul forever. One evening, Emil found himself staring at a vial of Zyklon B, the culmination of his work. The storm outside raged, lightning illuminating his haunted face. He thought of his colleagues, some of whom had quietly disappeared after asking too many questions. He thought of the nameless victims whose lives would end because of what he had created. In the end, Emil realized that silence was no refuge. He resolved to act, even if it cost him his life. But as he began laying plans to sabotage the production process, he couldn't shake the feeling that every step he took was being watched. The walls of IG Farben seemed to close in around him, the storm outside a mirror of the tempest within. What happened to Emil remains a mystery. Some say he vanished, another casualty of the regime's iron grip. Others whisper that he left behind subtle flaws in the formula, small acts of defiance that may have saved lives. But the shadow of his story endures, a haunting reminder of how science, when stripped of ethics, can become a weapon of unspeakable horror.